Welcome back to Trading the Market. In today's video, Mark, Aaron and I will be unveiling the ultimate guide to profiling football matches for successful betting and trading strategies. We're about to unlock the secrets that will revolutionise the way you approach football betting. We're diving headfirst into the art of profiling football matches to help you increase your chances of winning bets and trades. We've got a powerhouse of topics lined up, designed to turn you into a football betting and trading pro. Our toolkit for today includes the game-changing points per game (PPG), attack and defence ratings, understanding relevance, decoding standard deviation, mastering overs and unders markets, and demystifying implied odds. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped with the knowledge and strategies to analyse football matches like never before. It's your ticket to deciphering the hidden patterns in team performance and making those informed decisions that can lead to success in the world of football betting and trading. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just starting on this exciting journey, you're in for a treat. We're simplifying these complex topics, providing you with the keys to unlocking your football betting potential. But before we dive into the magic of football profiling, hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos and content, and be a part of our community that's passionate about winning in the world of sports trading. Right, are you ready? It's time to kick off your journey into football profiling, where we'll teach you how to read the game like a pro. So let's get cracking. First up, let's head over to Mark as he breaks down points per game. Over to you, Mark.
Points per game is one of the most underused data points in football. Not only does it tell you how a team is performing, when you extrapolate the data, it tells you how they have performed against teams based on the opposition's points per game. Before I explain all the bits, let me explain to you how to work it out. The team's points per game is the total points that they've achieved divided by a set number of games. For example, if we're looking at points per game for a team that has achieved 8 points in the last 8 games, this would be worked out by 8 divided by 8, which is 1. So they've achieved 1 point per game. If they've achieved 16 points over the last 8 games, this would be 16 divided by 8, which is 2 points per game. We'll be working out the points per game for the last 8 and for the season. We'll also be looking at the opponent's last 8 games, points per game as an average. To do this, we have to work out the points per game for every team in the league for the last 8 games, then pick the team we're looking at, and add in all the points together and divide by 8. If we look at Manchester United and look at the points per game of the teams that they've played in the last 8 and add up all these numbers together, we get the opposition's points per game. Now, it sounds complicated and long-winded, but lucky for you, we do this for you on the daily sheet on the Trading the Market website. All free, of course. Now let me show you how to use that data. Let's look at the Burton Albion vs Shrewsbury game being played on the 29th of December 2023. At our first look at this game, it would look like Shrewsbury would win this game comfortably, as they have achieved 1.25 points per game in the last 8 games, and Burton Albion have only achieved 0.63 points per game in the last 8 games. When we start looking at the opposition's points per game, it tells a different story. Shrewsbury have been playing teams that have had an average of 1.34 points per game, where Burton have been playing teams that have achieved 1.66 points per game on average over the last 8 games. The way the opponent's points per game is worked out is a bit complicated, but I will explain in the best way I can. If we take Burton as the example, the last 8 games they have played, we're looking at points the teams they played against have earned against their last 8 games they have played. Burton might have less points per game than Shrewsbury have achieved, but Shrewsbury have had an easier run of games. We can tell this by the opposition's points per game for the last 8 being a lot lower. The difference between them might only be 0.32, and this may not seem a lot, but in fact it's a big difference, as the calculation for the opposition's points per game is 8 lots of 8. Going off the points per game alone, I would say that Burton look like they would struggle. But after we put context to the numbers, it tips the scale into looking like a draw or a Burton win. Let's look at a second example. We have Orlando Pirates versus Stellenbosch, also being played on the 29th of December 2023. Looking at the Orlando Pirates, they have achieved 2 points per game over the last 8 games, and Stellenbosch have also achieved 2 points per game over the last 8 games. On paper, these teams look like an even match, yet when we look at the opposition's points per game for the last 8, we can see that the Orlando Pirates have managed to achieve their 2 points per game against teams that have only achieved 1.13 points per game, where Stellenbosch have achieved the same points per game playing much harder teams that have achieved 1.36 points per game. This is an indication that Stellenbosch should take the game, and that's how I use points per game. Over to Aaron, who's going to talk to you about the attack and defence ratings for profiling.
So what are attack and defence ratings? Simply put, it is a table of teams ranked upon how many goals they score or concede within the current season. As this is based only on the current season, it is vital that we wait for the relevant statistics to be formed, generally from game 9 onwards. However, there are people that will choose to wait till game 11, 12 or even 15. This will ensure that the minimal number of teams are on the same amount of goals either scored or conceded, which will allow an appropriate ranking. After game 1, 2 or even 5, there may be multiple teams on the same numeric value, which means we can't efficiently compare them to each other. Attack and defence ratings are the basis for other numerical outputs, namely the magic number and relevance, which enable us to effectively and quickly profile games for basis of shortlists. Let's explore them now with Mark going through the magic number. Mark, over to you.
The magic number. If you search the term in our Discord group, you'll find a lot of people using it. More people asking how it works, and even more not understanding how it works. And even more people wanting to know, is it relevant and what does it do? Basically, the magic number is an indicator of goals based on defence and attacks ratings and the number of teams in a league. The formula for it is: it's magic because it finds goals. It looks for strong attacks against weak defence teams. The teams are ranked based on their defence and attack stats, which then give us a number to figure out a substitute in the formula. So let's have a look at the example. We have Team A playing at home and Team B playing away. First of all, we have to look at the home attack versus away defence. Team A have the best attack in the Premier League. They would be ranked 1. Team B can't stop goals going in because they're the worst defence team in the league, so they would be ranked 20th. Given a combined sum of 21, so first and 20th, 2 together is 21. This is the first section of the formula. Now we need to look at how the home team can defend against the away team's attack. Team A have a wall in front of their goal, so have conceded none all season, therefore ranked 1 again. However, Team B strikers are at the back of their own goal line trying to stop more goals going in, so they've scored none and are ranked 20th. This again gives a total sum of 21. Finally, we add these two figures together and divide by 2 to get an average, which for this is 21. 21 plus 21 divided by 2 equals 21. This would be the best scenario because we want to find the best in the league at scoring goals against the worst in the league for defending them. As there are 20 teams in the Premier League and every team has a rank, the best combination of the teams is always going to be the league total team plus 1. So in this case it's 21. Now the ideal number is the number of teams in the league plus 1. So this is the number we're looking for, the magic number. In the case of the Premier League, this would be 20 teams in the league plus 1 team equals 1. So in our example, where the average was 21, we'd take 21 away from the magic number, which is 21. So that gives 0, and 0 is the best possible number we could hope for when looking for goals. Now we'll have a look at both sides of the attack and defence. So we have a Team A, who is first in the league on attack, and Team B is the worst in the league on defence. So that's 20th. So total 21. Team B is 5th on attack and Team A is 11th on defence with a total of 16. We then combine these two numbers together, so 21 plus 16 is 37. We then divide this number by 2 and get 18.5. We then take this from the total league teams, which in this case is 21, so 21 minus 18.5 gives us a magic number of 2.5. We're looking for a magic number between -3 and 3. So if we take a team that can't defend or attack and they're rated 20th on both, and a team that is rated 19th on both attack and defence, this gives us a total of 39 on both sides. And 39 plus 39 divided by 2 is 39. So 21 minus 39 is -18, which is 15 away from where we need that number to be. The teams may let a lot of goals in, but they also can't score goals. Now we know what we're looking for, let's break down that formula. The magic number is the home team attack rating, plus the away team defence rating, and then the home team defence rating plus the away team attack rating. Once we have the sum of these two numbers, we then add them together and divide by 2. We then use that number to minus from the total number of teams in the league plus 1. This will give us a number we want to range between -3 to 3. Closest to 0 is best. Aaron is going to talk to you about relevance. Over to Aaron.
Thanks, Mark. So relevance is a noun, and it's defined as how something relates to another thing. In our context, we are comparing two teams against each other in terms of their ability to attack and defend. This links really closely with the magic number which Mark has just talked about, due to its reliance on the attack and defence ratings. I've already described how we get them ratings, so I'm not going to cover that again now. To calculate the relevance, we are simply adding the home team's attack and defence rankings together and subtracting this sum from the away team's attack and defence ranking. For relevance to indicate that there is a likelihood of goals, we want a large number, which will indicate a larger gap between the two teams' abilities. We can flip this and use a smaller number to indicate a less likely chance of goals, with smaller numbers being a numerical representation of a smaller gap between the two teams. A quick point on polarity. A negative number shows that the home team is rated better, where a positive number will indicate the away team is better. To illustrate that, let's look at a couple of examples. All of the figures I will be using were taken from the TTM spreadsheet on the 24th of October. So first up, let's look at the Chesterfield game against York City. Chesterfield are currently ranked first for their attack and 9th for defence. York City, on the other hand, are ranked 13th for attack and 23rd for defence. So let's chuck these numbers into our calculation and see what we get. So as you can see in the first bracket, we've got Chesterfield's 1st for attack and 9th for defence values, and we're taking this away from York's 13th attack rating and their 23rd defence. So overall, this will give us 10 minus 36, which gives us a total rating of minus 26. Let's look at another example from the same night, but this time from the Millwall game. Millwall are currently ranked 21st for offence and 9th for defence. Their opponents, Blackburn Rovers, are currently ranked 10th for attack and 20th for defence. Putting these numbers in the calculation gives the following. So we've got 21 add 9, and we take that away from 10 add 20. This gives us 30 minus 30, so the overall sum is 0. Because these two teams are equally matched, it gives us a really low number, well in this case 0. These games will tend not to be high scoring affairs, as each other's attack and defence will counter each other out. At TTM we generally say anything within the -7 to +7 range will result in a low scoring game and should be avoided if you're looking for goals. Let's pass back to Mark now to talk about standard deviation.
Standard deviation. Now for all of you that are not mathematically minded, I will explain how you get this number and what we do with it. I've seen comments on the video, people saying, yeah it works, it's given me 8 score lines. Well, shush your mush and sit tight and we might even learn something. All the rest of you, let me show you how we're going to go and work out the maths and how we make it work for us. To start off, we need to take the total number of goals for each team in a game. So Team A has scored the last 8 games 2, 0, 1, 2, 1, 4, 2, 2. This gives us a total of 14 goals in 8 matches. We then take the 14 goals and divide it by the amount of games, which is 8. This gives us a mean number. So far, simple, 14 divided by 8 is 1.75. We now need to take each score line and work out the deviation from the mean number. So the first game they scored 2, which is 0.25 away from the mean number of 1.75. So let's do the rest of them. This gives us negative 1.75, negative 0.75, 0.25, negative 0.75, 2.25, 0.25 and 0.25. Now we've worked out the deviation from the mean, we need to square the numbers by themselves. So minus 1.75 times minus 1.75 equals 3.06. and we need to do this for the rest of the numbers. So that gives us 0.56, 0.06, 0.56, 5.06, 0.06, 0.06 and 0.06. We need to add all these numbers together, and this gives us a total of 9.48. This is the sum of the squares. We then need to divide this number by the amount of games minus 1, so we're using 8 games. In this calculation we'll divide it by 7. Stay with me, there's only one thing left to do, and that's find the square root of the divided number. Now I would just use an online calculator for this if needed, but 9.48 divided by 7 is 1.35, and the square root of 1.35 is 1.16. This is the standard deviation for that team. If you don't want to work all that out, you can just use the Trade in the Market website, link is in the description. I would round to the nearest half normally. Now we've worked out the mean number of goals, the standard deviation for a team, we can work out the likely score lines for that game. As the mean number of goals is 1.75, we know to expect 2 goals in the game, as we would take this number from 1.75 to 2.0, which would be 2 goals per game. We worked out the standard deviation to be 1.16, so we'll round this down to the nearest goal, which is 1. So we expect the team to score 2 goals, and the deviation is 1 goal. So we're expecting to score 2, but it could be out by 1. So the expected goals is 1, 2 or 3. Once we do this for the other team, we can then use this to start dutching correct scores in a game. If we know the other team to have a mean goal of say 0.75, we round up to 1, and a deviation of 1, we know that the goals would either be 0, 1 or 2. This gives us a likely set of score lines the game would finish in. This is an amazing calculation to be used for the correct score dutching or to predict which team will take the game. Now over to Aaron, who's going to explain the first half and second half goal.
So why do we want to determine when we think a goal will be scored? Because this will help us decide when we want to enter our trade into a game. It would be absolutely pointless to just enter a game at any odd time and sit, hope and pray that a goal will come. It's far better to be in a trade and be sure that a goal will not go against us regardless of the method we are using to trade. There are many ways in which to understand if a goal will come in the first or the second half. I will say now that the first and second half goal stats mean nothing on their own. They will always need to be paired up with other stats in order to get a real feel or profile for the game you want to trade. After all, a team could have scored in the first half in the previous 10 games, but these games could have all been against the bottom 10 teams in their league. In the next game, they're playing the team that is second in the league. Is that likely to produce a first half goal? It's unlikely, and we want to only work with likely, or better still, highly likely. Let's look at multiple ways in which we can determine if a game is going to have a goal in either the first or the second half. Remember, a game of football is always between 2 teams, so we will always need to take into account both team statistics. The first way we could look at is the percentage of goal each team score split down by halves. This will give you a feel for how teams like to attack. Is it a gradual build-up, which result in them scoring in the second half, or is it a hard and fast start, which catches teams out and allow them to score in the first half? Whichever it is, it will generally be reflected in the percentage split between each half. Regardless, we need to add the 2 teams' percentages together and divide by 2 to get the average percentage per half for these 2 games, so we can apply it to this game. You can take this figure, which you can find on the TTM sheet under season first half goal percentage or season second half goal percentage, and compare this to the league average for each half, which you can find on SoccerStats or other statistical sites. This will allow you to see if the teams are above or below average, and therefore give you a level of confidence. This method is great and has served James and Mark really well over the years, and is one of the points on their models. However, it does not take into account goals conceded. The second way to look at this is to look whether there will be a goal in either half. To do this, we'd analyse the games from this season and get a percentage for both goals scored and conceded. Again, because this is football, we will need to work out the average for the individual teams in the game, then add them together and get the average applied to this game. This method works really well as it enables you to understand the total games with a goal in each half, meaning that if a team leaks a lot of goals, they can actually end up on your shortlist this way. Whereas if we just take goals scored, then some of the teams won't feature at all, and you could actually be missing out on a little bit of money this way. These columns can be found on the TTM sheet under first half goal season and second half goal season. The third and final way we can look to apply is to look at the specific venue. This also has the advantage of understanding a team's characteristics, whether they're on the road or whether they're at home. We've all seen and heard about the home fortress and those teams that are shocking on the road, just like Arsenal a few seasons back. This is calculated in the same way as the previous set of statistics, but this time only take into account home teams' goals at home and the away team's goals on the road. Once again, we would take the average of the two teams to get that good feeling. These can be found on the TTM sheet under first half goal venue and second half goal venue. All what I have just talked about is about a goal coming, a goal being scored. But what if we don't want a goal? What if we want to play the unders, for example? Well, all you do is change your criteria. Select a lower percentage, look for the games that are below that percentage. However, remember, this is only one small part of profiling the game. Never use this as an individual reason to trade the game. Always combine it with another statistic to get the full story. James will now talk about the overs and the unders and how we can assess these to profile the game. James, over to you.
Over and unders markets are a popular market to trade, and goal statistics can give you a tremendous advantage when trading on football matches and trying to predict how many goals will be scored between two teams in any given match. The market is commonly referred to as overs, unders, or total goals. Now, I'm sure most of you are already aware of how these markets work, but let me briefly explain what each market is. In overs markets, you are betting, trading that the total number of goals will be greater than the specific market threshold. For example, if the market is set at over 2.5 goals, you will win if the game ends with 3 or more goals. In unders markets, you are betting, trading that the total number of goals will be lower than the specific market threshold. Using the same example, if you bet on under 2.5 goals, you will win if the match ends with 2 or fewer goals. Using the statistics provided by the TTM football selection tool, we can work out the likelihood of how many goals will be scored in a football match. Let's take a look at the match between West Bromwich Albion versus Leeds United. We are now way past the point in the season where 8 games have been played, and the current match day sits at game played 24. As you can see, West Brom have played 24 games, averaging 2.4 goals per game, with over 0.5 goals at 100%, over 1.5 goals at 63%, over 2.5 goals at 25%, and over 3.5 goals at 0%. Now let's take a look at Leeds United's data. They have also played 24 games, averaging 2.8 goals per game, with over 0.5 goals at 100%, over 1.5 goals at 88%, over 2.5 goals at 50%, and over 3.5 goals at 38%. Now, if we combine the two team stats, we can then formulate or predict the likelihood of how many goals will be scored in this fixture. The way to do this is very simple. We take both teams' goal statistics, add them together, and then divide by 2 to then give us an average percentage of goals between the two teams. So in this case, the likelihood of 0.5 goals in the game would be 100%, as 100 plus 100 equals 200 divided by 2 equals 100%. The likelihood of over 1.5 goals would be 75.5%, as 63 plus 88 is 151. We divide this by 2 and it equals 75.5%. And the likelihood of over 2.5 goals would be 37.5%, as 25 plus 50 equals 75. And we divide this by 2 again, and this gives us 37.5%. And last but not least, the likelihood of over 3.5 goals would be 19%, as 0 plus 38 equals 38. We divide it by 2, and this gives us 19%. The more matches that have been played, the more we can rely on the data to give us a true reflection of how the data relates to real life outcomes in football matches. Here at TTM, we profess to wait until 8 matches have been played for both teams, then we can start to look at data in relation to current form. Even paper trading a few matches beyond 8 games is a great way to see if the data matches what is happening on the field. So looking at the stats in relation to the West Brom versus Leeds United game, we can see already that Leeds have the better goal output over 24 games, and the data combined with West Brom's goal output would suggest we would see 1 or 2 goals in this fixture, and that more than likely in the favour of Leeds United. But on this occasion, Leeds are missing their number 1 goalkeeper due to being sent off in their previous fixture, so I would still suggest 1 or 2 goals in this match, but possibly in the favour of West Brom, as they are at home and Leeds are missing their keeper. But when looking at the goal data, all that matters is that the goals arrive regardless of which team scores them. When I am looking at goal data, I'm always looking for the best possible statistics that almost guarantee goals in a match to use with certain trading strategies. This match is just an example, and I'm not saying in any way to go and trade it. If you can use data to predict goals with a high strike rate, you will make money when trading in the long term. Now we have profiled every part of the game, we need to know if we are getting value for what we are trading or betting on. We can do this by working out what the percentage chance we think of something happening versus what the market offers as a price. As I said earlier in the video about working out the percentage chance of the overs and unders market, this gives us a good indication of the probability of the event happening. But how do we work that out in odds? Now I know what you're thinking, Christ, not another calculation. I'm still getting over the standard deviation formula. Well, this one is easy. We start with 100 and divide that by the percentage of the probability. So if something has a 75% chance of happening, we take 100 and divide it by 75. This then gives us odds of 1.33. It's really that simple. If you think something has a 75% chance of happening and the odds are at 1.2, this wouldn't be a great trade as you would have lost the value out of it. Odds of 1.2 would imply that there was an 83.3% chance of this happening and would not reflect the 25% risk you worked out. We would look to be taking odds of 1.33 or above in this case. Now let me show you how you work it out in another way. You have odds of 1.24 and we want to work out what the percentage chance of this happening is. Well, you guessed it, a little bit more maths. We will take 1 and divide it by the odds. In this case it's 1 divided by 1.24, which gives us a long decimal number, but we will use 0.8064 and then times this by 100 to get 80.64%. If we had a team with odds of 4 for the win, we would take 1, divide it by 4 to get 0.25, times this by 100 and we have a 25% chance of the win. Now that we can convert decimals to percentage and back, we should be able to find if we have value in our trades or bets. As an extra credit, I will show you how to convert fractions to a percentage. It works out almost the same way as decimal. We are just making one extra addition. Let's take 2 to 1 as a fraction. We are going to divide 1 by 2 to 1. And to do this, we are just going to add the 2 and the 1 together to make 3. And then we do 2 divided by 3. This would work the same way as if it was, say, 7 to 4. We would just add the 7 and the 4 together to get 11 and divide 2 by 11. So in our example, we are dividing 2 by 3 and times that by 100. This then gives us a 66.67% chance of it happening. So there you have it, the ultimate football profiling video. This video has been a long time in the making because we wanted to give you the best possible information and training in profiling any match. These are techniques that Trading the Market uses on a daily basis to profile our trades and ensure that we take profit from the exchange. Some of the stuff we have covered will be very simple or even second nature to you. Other bits you might have to rewatch to get the hang of it. It will just take a bit of practice. Remember, there is no shortcut to mastering anything in life, and the 10,000 hours it takes, you need to be highly skilled at something. All I ask of you is to press the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to us to be notified of our next video or drop us a comment so we know that you're enjoying our content. We also have a completely free Discord server for our trading community where you can come and chat with other traders Whether you're starting out or developing your own edge, now it's over to you. Dive into the football profiling, apply these techniques, and kick off your journey to reading the game like a pro. If you have any questions or want more in-depth discussions on specific topics, drop them in the comments below or hunt us down in the Discord. I've been James.
I've been Mark.
I've been Aaron.
This has been your ultimate football profiling guide, and we are all trading the market. Until next time, happy trading.